Ah, yes, modernity, where the minds of moronicness are like bottomless pits, never ending, but anyway. I don't know if you all have noticed this, but there seems to be a ramped up volume of less stupid going around lately. More so than usual, actually. I'm not sure why, but it's all very strange. It's like vibes, except they're wank. What's curious, though, is it seems to coincide with both sides of the more online outlets suffering some kind of fractioning shortly after the whole USAID thing kicked off. I'm sure that's totally just a coincidence. I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek, but I could swear I read somewhere even members of the Daily Wire were recipients of that whole rapacious network. Suffice to say, I wouldn't exactly be surprised if that were the case. I wonder what Brett Cooper was earning before she was let go. I did see Ian Carroll make some comments about the Daily Wire having some fiscal problems, and then Jeremy Boring stepped down as co-CEO, amid a sizable chunk of staff also getting axed. Apparently, Boring's failing film ambitions were hemorrhaging the moolah. There's even been rumors of bringing on board a bankruptcy attorney. Rumors, but still, yikes. Don't know who Ian's sources are, but they appear to be legit. Oh, and if you notice who's running the Daily Wire, the fact that they're having money problems will never not be funny. You know Crowder's looking at that whole situation going, man, I freaking dodged a bullet there. That's the so-called conservative side of things. On the progressive side, things are far more stupid, and therefore far more entertaining. Now, Academic Agent did a video a while back speculating about a potential popular left-wing comeback in the wake of MAGA becoming more mainstream and therefore more cringe and gay, as is the case with anything that goes mass. It's kind of a cycle. There's some speculations that this is already happening. Sargon pointed out, for example, that Trump's posturing towards Canada has allowed the left to adopt a more anti-Trump stance, projecting a more nationalistic position. Now, personally, I think that's a load of bollocks. Trump has always said crazy shit, and the idea that he is somehow going to annex Canada is just... shut up. But sure, they're already socialists. Let's slap on nationalism and... On second thought, let's see them go ahead and try that one. Not that words ever mitigate them from being delusional and insane. Hell, those qualities are prerequisites for being leftists. Now, having said all that, I can't recall where I read this. I think it was a New York Times piece. Could swear I pulled it up in one of my recent videos, actually, but anyway. It made the amusing claim that the Democrats have no idea what they're supposed to stand for. Now, aside from the giggles, haha, I'm not sure how to react to this, because in a democracy, you're supposed to represent your constituents. How do you not know what to stand for when you're supposed to represent somebody else? It's not like you don't have mechanisms for keeping a pulse in the country. Hell, it's supposed to be your damn job. But herein lies the dilemma. Take, for example, someone like Jasmine Crockett. Now, say what you like about her. No, literally, say what you like. She's loud, stupid, and incredibly obnoxious. She embodies damn near every negative stereotype you can imagine. She's a walking meme factory. If anyone wants to know why I have the positions on demographics and gender I do, I can just point to her and go, yeah, that'd be why. However, having said all of that, she is undoubtedly a member of the progressive coalition of the Democrats. Unsurprisingly, she wants to retain her political position. So if her constituents are receptive to her acting like a ratchet hood rat, why would she change? Where's the incentive? You can say that's not authentically her, but she's supposed to represent somebody else, so she's at least an authentic politician. Sounds like an oxymoron of a phrase, that one, doesn't it? Now, she's one example. On a local level, she can afford to act like a useless posturing idiot because that's what keeps her job. However, on a national level, you're entering a different league. The rules are different, and so are the people, and you have to present a more mass appeal message because, newsflash, the country is not a far-left progressive hellscape. Shocker! Now, this perspective is playing out among certain members of the left-wing media ecosphere. Enter Cenk Uygur, founder of the Young Turks, and Francesca Fiorentini. Now, Cenk, for as much as a blustering buffoon as he is, I mean, he is currently whinging about the very same shit he's been championing for, forever. In the wake of the MAGA coalition utterly decimating leftism in the last general election, he is smart enough to recognize that far-left progressivism is not a winning message. Strategically speaking, he is probably one of the smarter people on the far left, or rather, formerly far left, as he has tried to now shed his positions like a molting reptile. You can call it inauthentic all you want. Welcome to democracy. We'll get back to Cenk in a few moments because he's not getting off the hook. But Francesca, I believe, was contracted to TYT. She was not a full-time employee. Why TYT thought it was a good idea to bring her on board, God only knows. She's featured on Piers Morgan's Uncensored, and man, the comments were ruthlessly brutal. And justifiably so.
I get it. So just to be clear, you'd let Lionel Messi play in the...
Okay, then the other guy agrees with me. And so I was like, yes, if he transitioned and she is she, that's fine. Undergoing hormone therapy passes the bar. Whatever, again, whatever the guidelines are for that sport, I'm okay with that, because I don't believe trans people should be barred from playing in any sport or being in any walk of life the way a cis person is.
Women's national football team and destroy women's football forever. You'd let Usain Bolt...
it'd be very difficult to get a ticket, which would suck.
I want to do a little checklist here. You'd let Usain Bolt compete as a sprinter in the American women's Olympic team?
Yes.
Okay. You would let Floyd Mayweather compete as a boxer in the women's American boxing team?
Yeah,
you
of
are
course
a
you have to be
complete
like the
and utter
heavyweight
lunatic.
Just make her so retarded. It's so fucking dead on.
This was about 10 months ago, by the way. Evidently not the sharpest tool in the shed over here. Not a surprise she lives in a cave. But hold that thought, because she's going to make it even worse.
So this was jank, and my man talked about me. He talked about me. He invoked my name. One of our hosts. First of all, I've never been a full-time host. So once again, one of our mercenaries. But let me just caveat this by saying, don't ever speak for me. Don't ever use me. We are not the same. We've proven this many times over. We are not the same. We don't come from the same cloth. And so I would like you to don't claim you sort of like, well, one of our hosts. There's no our. There's no our. This is not a weird... you speaking for Anna, you guys are the same person, Tweedledee, Tweedledum type situation, okay? I am a me. You can call me by my name. My name is Francesca.
So some on the left, one of our hosts, Piers Morgan, asked her, so are you okay with Leo Messi playing in women's sports? And by the way, he said it in the most extreme way, if he declared himself a woman tomorrow, even without hormone therapy or anything.
Doesn't work. First of all, that's not what happened.
First off, he didn't invoke your name. Never even mentioned you. Secondly, he didn't speak for you. He spoke about you and how absurd your position is. I don't care about what happened. I'm trying to show as little of you as humanly possible because I find you offensive to sanity and reason. And I know all my audience to ask me why the hell I'm subjecting them to the likes of you any more than I have to.
Then they got to the absurdity of Floyd Mayweather going into women's boxing if he declares himself a woman. Do not say yes to that. Do not say yes to that, because they're going to hurt someone. And when they do, you're going to lose the country even more.
100%.
Yes, that is objectively true, both the biological and political reality of this scenario. Why do you think Piers called you a lunatic? You have to be a pretty dense case of lunacy to make Cenk and Piers look reasonable. That's fucking astonishing. She then goes on to say that it was dumb of Cenk to suggest that she should have stopped at Mayweather because she would look ideologically inconsistent, as opposed to what anyone with half a functioning brain cell would think of her worldview overall. She's insane. Even further, that this particular demographic accounts for a minuscule portion of the population, and this so-called hypothetical framing is just used as a distraction and way to dehumanize them. No, you dippy sandwich, it is because sports are a competitive endeavor, and the winners are either a team or a person, and seeing as the winners can only be a few, if you toss in a whole bunch of men against women, the superior few are always going to be men, because they're men. Does she care about any of this? No, of course not, because it is not about biological reality, it is about unwavering ideological rigidity, even to their detriment. There's a phrase to describe this phenomenon, it's called political suicide.
If I say that trans women shouldn't participate in collegiate or higher level of sport, they're gonna stop there. They didn't. They just didn't. Trump's executive order applies to all people. When we're talking children included, we're talking about high schools, we're talking about elementary schools. This is all people. These are the athletic bans that are coming down in red states across this country. They are for all. Specifically, they're focused on children.
And that's bad. Why? Do I even need to be here for this part? It's astonishing that we have people who say this shit out loud.
But you're so dumb. You're so dumb. I don't even know how to explain this to you anymore. Unless, this is the other option, unless you also are a transphobe. You know what I'm saying? Unless you also are kind of a misogynist.
Okay, let me try and sum this up. Between that uncensored episode and this video here is about 9 months, which means you evidently learned nothing from the general election, which makes you utterly unfit to discuss politics in any capacity. You have no political acumen whatsoever. For you, this is nothing but ideological possession and unwavering devotion to said cult-like rigidity. Hell, if it was up to me, she would be barred from engaging in the political process due to obvious cognitive impairment. She's adopted the Crockett strategy, but that wasn't obvious. You then went out of your way to belittle and insult the owner of the company who paid your salary. My God, I can't possibly figure out why TYT banned you from all affiliations, can you? Especially Jenk, who's known for having a bit of a temper. I don't know how the rules work over there in La La Land where you live, but in the metropolis of masculinity, we run on common sense. And common sense would dictate it's really fucking stupid to insult those responsible for your fiscal well-being, love. Not to mention, I can't imagine how insane you have to be to advertise you're pro males versus females in combat sports and label opposition to this prospect misogynists. If that's your position, no one should listen to anything you have to say about anything ever because, again, cognitive impairment. The struggle for the Democrats now is how do they purge their ranks of these USAID-spawned ideological excesses, people who continue to swallow all of the fake nonsense that was basically just propped up to justify the printing of dollars, because these people are effectively political deadweights. They're like fat, basically. Actually, no, poison is a far better comparison. Or how about fattening poison? Let's go with that one. Even Jane can see this, somewhat. He's basically like a discount cartoon version of Bill Maher here. I don't know who looks worse in that comparison, but who the hell cares? They're both wankers. Support for the rainbow hippies is the ultimate status symbol. If that status symbol happens to be mental asylum escapee, there's no reason for this group to exist, mind you, in any capacity. If you were to remove them from society, literally nothing bad would happen. They are entirely superfluous manifestations of ideological gunk, excess, and no more. She kind of reminds me of when Sam Cedar was on that Jubilee episode, when he acknowledged that the MAGA coalition had gained ground, but seems to have no idea as to why. When the man said to him, we'll have less abortions, more children, a return to the nuclear family, Sam replies, trans people, gay people should be outlawed, which means fucking nothing! These are nothing but empty slogans designed for a social shaming currency, and that's it. They literally have no other function than that. Because they rely solely on these words to usher in your own voluntary capitulation, if you were to reply to this empty threat with, no one cares, now piss off, now what? They would have nothing. They would implode. You could see this in that debate. Cedar has never thought about any of these things in his entire life because his brain is smoother than silk. Hell, he even conceded afterwards his entire moral framework is just a preference. So he has no justification for any morality because his framework is just me-likey. Either that or the majority says so, and even then, only when he agrees with said majority. If you went by beneficial to society, I'll bet you can knock over damn near every progressive ideal for God knows how many decades. Starting with rainbow hippie rights, gay rights, civil rights, women's suffrage, voting in general, segregation. Hell, I can probably take a crack at the abolition of slavery. As a matter of fact, here's my most based opinion for you all. The abolition of slavery is the origins of wokeness. Think about it. Not a surprise coming from me, mind you. I consider freedom to be massively overrated. These people are cultists who believe in an ideology utterly divorced from reality in every regard. If you listen to them, I don't know why you would, but humor me for a moment, they operate under the democratic ideal, representation, all of that nonsense. Yet they also cling to beliefs that alienate them from the rest of the country and reduces their chances of winning anything. How do you champion democracy and also personify failing at it? Yeah, for once I have no words there. Why any of these groups matter beyond politics? They have no reason, because democracy is about building coalitions. Again, the irony is not lost on me. It's about political power and bugger all else. Which is not a surprise, the state is their religion, and evidently they will follow it no matter how stupid, delusional, or nonsensical it becomes. They have this strange, paradoxical desire, favoring the eradication of all social taboos, chasing this mythical concept of total individual freedom, yet also an increasingly larger bureaucracy to defend it all. You can't chase total freedom whilst also prohibiting somebody else's right to discriminate. Basically, they want a society to exist within this idealized frame embodying elements of freedom found only in a state of nature. Like if you took the Garden of Eden and polluted it with gay race communism. That is not how any society works, you imbeciles. Every society has codes of conduct and their brand of law and order. You give up some aspects of your freedom in order to maintain this order. The more rights someone else attains at your expense, the smaller your capacity to exercise freedom becomes. Any and all anti-discrimination laws is a violation of personal sovereignty. That's also why universal rights is BS, by the way. Progressivism is nothing more than tyranny by the increasingly insane. But like I said before, the buffalo isn't getting off the hook either.
Apparently she's Satan. Brother, look, how can I talk to you, man, when you say such ludicrous things? Do you know that like 95% of Americans, when you say that she's satanic because she's a woman bishop, think that you're nuts? Do you at least understand and acknowledge that?
First of all, they don't. You don't understand anything about the Bible, apostolic succession, church history. You don't know anything about these things, Shank. You have no idea what you're talking about. First of all, she wasn't speaking truth to power. She was speaking subversiveness to goodness. And that's what's actually going on, and that's what Democrats are great at doing. Sure. Yes, it is completely satanic to have inversion. Inversion is when you take what is considered the Christ head, in this case a bishop, and invert it to a woman. That's what you people are great at doing, is inversion. If you looked at the 2,000 years of Christian history, you would understand this, especially church history, going all the way back to the time of Christ and apostolic succession. People, oh, well, you can, but the truth is that people get all of their ethics and goodness in this nation from biblical ethics and Christian ethics, not from St. Uger thinks it's neat that a chick can do this. It's like, no, that's not part of our ethical standard there. That's not what it is. We don't have an ethical standard based around your version of the woke Bible. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
When you call a respected bishop a chick and satanic.
Respected by who?
It's funny that you don't see that you lose such a giant percentage of the country. And so, like, guys like this make it nearly impossible for a huge part of the country to ever vote for Republicans. Because if you vote for a Republican, you're going to get these ghouls and goblins. And they're going to say, oh, yeah, chicks shouldn't be on bishops, man. It's inversion, dude. It's satanic. You sound insane. You sound, to me, honestly, you sound like you belong in a mental asylum. Or when you call people satanic. What the hell does that even mean?
People are always going to think,
because she's a woman, just because she's a woman, she's satanic in that role. See, that's exactly why I'm a populist, but I can't be populist, right? When guys like this
speaking
say
truth
such
to power,
insane things and
What's your
drive
problem? You're
hatred.
huge. I'm
Drive
speaking truth to power.
hatred.
You know what also doesn't play well with the majority of people, Cenk? Acting like a smarmy teenaged asshole on a subject you know fuck all about. Give me a break. Your rotund rear couldn't be right-wing because you don't think the state is big enough. Your delusional ideal state of progressivism is akin to multiple clones of Jesus and having them run domestic government, aka a bloody pipe dream. No sane majority agrees with you on political issues, let alone on moral issues. Who the hell are you freaking kidding here? It's not a surprise you can't distinguish between the two, given the dumb shit you routinely champion, seeing as you derive morality from the state and majority consensus. Actually, come to think of it, ironically, it is the funniest thing watching these idiots try and make moral appeals by invoking said majority consensus. It's stupid because A, ethics is not politics, and B, they just took a political drumming. So on whose behalf are you speaking of here exactly? Utterly clueless on civilization and history. Here's a reality check for you, Cenk. Humans are sheep, and they must be told what to think and do. They need a benevolent shepherd. If you think this isn't the case, cast your mind back to the red sniffle season. It is absolutely the case. It is observable reality, whether you like it or not. Because if they don't get one, they believe and support the dumbest things imaginable. Case in point, the rainbow hippies, as if their cause isn't incompatible with objective reality. Hell, you still support them, even though the majority rejected them, so who's losing the majority now, you idiot? Andrew is right. The United States is supposed to have an ethical basis of the Christian faith, and to quote Ledeen, Europe's rise is written in the terms of Christianity and monarchy, Europe's decay in the terms of republicanism, progressivism, and godlessness. You know, you would think America might be able to learn a thing or two from that quote, although you might notice there's a certain element missing from that equation now, isn't it? I might do a follow-up in this video called The Foundation of Humanity is... Feel free to fill in the blank in the comment section. Cheers for watching, and once again, I apologize for nothing.